So it's just this
Mm,
really special time. And all of
yeah.
the runners who are there there's a lot of regulars who come back every year. And it just has this amazing vibe to it.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Runnah, running on Cape Cod, Massachusetts and beyond. And welcome back to your local running community. We are coming to you from another virtual episode, which hasn't been happening that often, but when we do, we have some gems on. So it's always a nice time to do this, to bring some people who are a little bit outside of that Cape Cod bubble and bring in some of our other New England friends. But this week, I have the wonderful Marylyn Stiles with us. Welcome to the show, Marylyn.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. Good to be here.
Yeah. I'm so excited to have you because we get to talk about something that I have just recently gotten into. And you are kind of like right around the corner, but you are the race director, technically, for
Yes.
all of the White Mountain endurance races that are kind of based out of New Hampshire, if I'm correct.
Yes, that's correct. Yes. We're part of Aravipa running,
Mm-hmm.
and the White Mountain endurance races are in New Hampshire. And we currently have 7 races in our event portfolio.
Yeah. And Aravipa, I feel like, is best known for what I call the Javelin of John Druid. And I don't think I'm probably the only one who does that.
No, you're not.
If I know anything from the vibes of that race, I'm definitely not the only one who's doing that. So, but they are very well known for like that specific race, I would say. But I don't think people realize that they have a second like arm on the East Coast.
They have, and not to mention so many races throughout the year, so many races every single month, really big races.
Yeah.
And then also in Colorado and California. And now just recently, we now have races in Michigan.
Oh, okay.
So, which will start next season. The Aravipa just took on. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I'm sure that you guys are looking into other like New England states, like just kind of perusing things as you do. I work for the Cape Cod Marathon. I know that every time I go to like another race or marathon, like I'm taking notes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this would be a fun thing for us to do here. Or like I see a cool location when I'm running. I'm like, oh, I could run there. So I'm sure you guys are thinking about things, but we can talk about that in a minute. But let's talk about you. So you are a pretty, I would say, based off of like the results that I've seen, a pretty accomplished and like fast, speedy gal, ultra marathoner, if I'm not correct.
Well, thank you. I don't consider myself speedy.
You won a few things though.
But I'm you. But I like endurance, and I have found that I really like the distance because I like to just keep pushing and pushing and push myself as far as I can go. And also because I'm really not very fast, but I can go for a long time.
I feel like I had this discussion with my buddy Ben, who is my main running partner, who you've seen his episode of this, about how like, I'm like, I'm not fast. He's like, but you're fast for the trails and being able to retain that pace for so long. I'm like, oh, I guess. Yeah. So you and I, we're fast for the trails.
Yeah.
That's what I like to say. But where does your running journey start? Have you like always been a runner? Is this something that is newer to you? Where does this start?
So I have kind of been all over the place. I've been an athlete my entire life. So starting from elementary school and then all the way up through and then into my adult life, various sports, team sports. And then as an adult, I've always been into weightlifting. Always. I've gone to the gym. Weightlifting has always been like the core of everything else that I do. That I absolutely love. And then outside,
still pushing. Okay.
No. But outside of that, I started doing years ago all of the road races, like the 5K races, and moved up to the 10K and the half marathon. I've actually never done a road marathon. I've never had the desire. I've never had any desire to do a road marathon.
That's fair.
But yet I want to go run 100 miles in the mountains.
Yeah. It's a very different vibe.
It's a very, very, very different.
Yeah, it's a very, very different vibe.
Yes. So I just, kind of always did that, just kind of dabbled in that. And then I got into triathlon, which was fun for a few years. And then I did adventure racing, which that's really what I love, because
kind of
not Spartan races.
Counts?
No. So what adventure races is it's 3 different disciplines. It's trail running, mountain biking, and kayaking. And depending on the venue, it could be in a lake or it could be in the ocean. And then in addition to that, they throw in special tests throughout. You never know what's going to happen when, but all of a sudden you come to this place and they throw something in, like maybe you have to jump off your bike and like carry your bike over your shoulder across a balance beam or something crazy, or crawl through a mud pit, or it was a team event. It was a team of 3 people. So they could have you, when you got to the kayaking portion, they could say, okay, only 2 of you are allowed in the kayak and 1 of you has to swim. So you never know what's going to happen in these races. Wow. So it was amazing. And but it was on trails. So you had the mountain biking and you had the trail running, and I just love being in the mountains. Yeah. So I really, really enjoyed that. But it was a team event, and it kind of just reached a point in my life and my teammates' lives. It was hard to coordinate to do that together. Yeah. Yeah. So I started doing just kind of things on my own. And then I just love being on the trails. So that's kind of where my overall experience was. And then I've always loved the mountains. Growing up, spent time when I was visiting my dad. We did everything in the mountains, went fishing, hiking, and all of that. And I'm originally from the West Coast. So this was in California.
Oh, okay. I think you grew up here and then the New Hampshire mountains.
No. So this was out I grew up in California, and then I didn't move out here until my 20s. And I lived in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island. Okay. But I was always coming up here to New Hampshire. Okay. Always coming up, just from the time I moved to the East Coast, it was always coming up here to the mountains and trails. And I just love being in the mountains. Yeah. So fast forward, it was 2019. It was 2019. It was the fall. And I happened to come up here I would just come up here and do the touristy things. I don't know how many times I had done Mount Lafayette. And, you just come up here and you just do it and you go home. But came up here and I was up at Lonesome Lake. And I had never heard of the 4,000 footers that people, or the New Hampshire 48. I'd never heard of that before. I didn't know anything about it. And I was up at Lonesome Lake, and this young kid was running by the lake. And he stopped and asked me if I had seen, he described his friend, him and this other girl were up there running, and they kind of got lost from each other or whatever. And I was like, no, I haven't. And then I just started chatting with him, and I was in complete awe that he was running on these trails up there. Like I just couldn't fathom running up on the trails. And so he was telling me about that, and he was telling me about the New Hampshire 48, and I had never heard of it before. All of a sudden I was just like, oh my God, tell me all about this. Yeah. So then I went back home. I was living in New Hampshire at the time, and I started researching it, and I was so fascinated. I was like, I want to do the New Hampshire 48, and I want to run on these trails. So I started researching, and then all of a sudden, that was the fall. And then all of a sudden it was the winter. And I had never been into winter hiking or anything. So I decided I wanted to start the 48, and I was so eager. I'm like, I'm going to start them in the winter. So I hired someone through REI. To teach me how to survive on the trails in the winter. So
that sounds like a big endeavor to take on. I mean, just knowing that there's still snow on those peaks, into the summer months, not even in the winter when everything is like slicked over, frozen over. You know?
Yeah. So February. So then it was 2000. And then it turned into 2020. So January and February, I came up here. I was in New Hampshire, came up here, and I did 3 of the New Hampshire 48 footers. I'm like, I'm going to start on my list. Yeah. And then COVID hit. I was supposed to come up here again in March, that first weekend of March. Everything was shut down. So that put an end to that. So it was March, and then in July, everything opened up again, 2020. So I was able to come up here again. So I came up and I was like, I was in heaven, and I just started banging out the 4,000 footers. I finished it in 3 months. I finished the first round of the 40. I was driving up here all the time. And so I would take vacation days during the week and come up, and then every weekend. So then I finished it that September, and then I wanted to move up here. I was like, I have to move up here. This is just where I belong.
You practically live there already.
Feels like home. And I was working remotely at that point because of COVID. The offices shut down, and they said, we're not even going to open the offices anymore. So I was like, cool, I can live anywhere I want. So I moved up here that November. And
this is 2021?
That was 2020 still.
2020 still.
Yeah, that was November 2020. And then that was that. Then I was up here, and I just, but through doing the 48s, at the very beginning, I started meeting people in this community and just connecting with people through social media, and then getting together to do some of the peaks, and started meeting some amazing trail runners who do amazing things up here, all the FKTs and all that sort of thing. So I became friends with some of them, and they just being with them, I just started learning. So I swapped out all my hiking gear to the running vests and the trail runners. And it was like, so I finished my 40. It really was, I would say, to be honest, when I first started coming back up here that July, and I started running, hiking with some of these other people, I immediately changed out all my gear and started. And that's how I learned. So I was like, I can run on these trails. It's like, it is possible to run on these trails. And so that's how I got started into the mountain running. And then, so I moved up here, that November. And then, so through the winter, I was still just in the mountains, every minute I could. And then that spring so that was now 2021, that spring, I started running. I lived near the Belknaps. I was in, I lived in Belmont and then Laconia. So the Belknaps were kind of my backyard. So I was always over at Gunstock and that area. And there was a mountain race. There was a Gunstock races. They had like several different distances, but they had one that was called the 10K peak to peak.
Okay.
And it was, you run up to Row and then across the ridge to Gunstock, and then you run down the mountain.
Oh, okay.
And I had been training over there. Like I was always over there running just for fun, just before work was amazing to see sunrise or after work or whatever. And so they have this 10K peak to peak. So I did it. And that was my first actual mountain race.
Oh,
I had done a lot of trail running in Connecticut.
Races yet.
But the actual, So I did this 10K peak to peak, and it was the most amazing experience ever. And that's
great.
I loved it. And I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to do mountain racing.
Yeah.
So I was like, I need to find another race. So that was in the month of June that year. So I Googled mountain races, and this race came up, Kilkenny Ridge Race. And it was part of the White Mountain Endurance races.
Yes.
And there was a 25 mile and a 50 mile. I was like, I'm going to do that 25 mile race. So I signed up for that. I'm like, I guess I'm going to go check out this Kilkenny Ridge, because I had not done the ridge before, because when I was normally I would go do like Star King and Wambeck or go do Cabot, but not the ridge all the way across.
Okay.
So I went and trained on that, and it was incredible. It's all back country, just like overgrown trails, and it's amazing. It's incredible. So that was put on by White Mountain Endurance, and Christina Folsick. Christina Folsick was the owner and race director. And that's how I met her. And that's how I got involved in the races. And then it just took off from there. And then I just started doing all of the races, running in them.
And then volunteering with them too, or?
Well, yeah. So once I had done the races for a couple of years, then there were other races that I wanted to do. Yeah. So, but I still, I became, friends with Christina. She became my coach, and I just loved the races and the community. So I just I started volunteering for the races. And then a few years ago, Christina sold the White Mountain Endurance races to Arabica Running. And she stayed on as race director. Her and Rem stayed on as race directors. And they wanted to hire event crew, local event crew. So they hired a few of us who were regular volunteers. So I got hired on the event crew. So I did that for the first year. And then the second year, Christina and Rem, they decided to move to Colorado. So they needed a race director. But what they did for that year was race directors came out from Arizona, two of the race directors, and they race directed the races while they were looking for a race director. So during that year, working on the event crew, working with the race directors for Arabica, really getting to know how Arabica works. I just loved everything about it. I loved how they put on the races, the people, the teamwork, the amount of support that you get from Arizona. And so I had expressed that I was interested in the race director position. So I got promoted to race director. So last season, or this season, we're still in 2025.
Yes, we're still in 2025.
I don't mean to rush the year. So this was my first year as race director.
Okay. I always think like, as someone who's like I would consider very new into trail running. I've been like marathon running since 2018, like only roads, so strictly roads. I think that everyone else has way more, like 20s of years worth more of experience than I do, like in these things. And like, I talk to everyone, they're like, I've only been doing this like a couple of years. I'm like, oh, really? Like, to me, everyone is just like so accomplished and just like so good at what they do that I just assume, like, I was like, she's been the race director for at least 10 years. But
this is my first year as race director.
Okay. How did it go? Like, what were your expectations? Because you going into this year,
it went really well. I was just so happy with how the season went, but I feel like when I have the experience with these specific races, the actual race courses, the races themselves, being involved with it for, a few years. And just the White Mountain community itself and these mountains. And it's weird because I really haven't lived up here very long, but I just feel like,
your soul was born.
I feel, yes. And I spend so much, and I just spend so much time in the mountains that it just feels like home, and it just feels so natural. And
I count that as home.
Yeah. And so it went really, really well. The event crew we've all been a part of the White Mountain Endurance for several years, because all of the event crew, they have been a part of this crew for a long time and done the races themselves and worked as volunteers and worked on the event crew. And the volunteers that we have so many volunteers that are regulars that come back every year, that are a huge part of this community.
Yes.
So with all of that, it really helped. It made it work, and it was a really, really great year.
I'm just going to give another shout out to the volunteers too, at any race for the most part. Like, you're going to have that 1% of volunteers that just don't really want to be there, but like 99% of them, like, people don't realize how much of the race happens because of volunteers.
Absolutely. We could not have the races without the volunteers.
Same. Like, like I'm part of the Cape Cod Marathon organization team. And like, if we did not have our volunteers, we would be so screwed. There would be no race. Absolutely no race.
Exactly. Yeah.
Was there anything in your first year that like surprised you with being like kind of within that kind of frame of going from like volunteer / like organizing staff member to race director? Anything that like kind of caught you off guard with this year's experiences?
I think there was so much behind the scenes that I had never had any visibility to at all. Like, I never heard conversations about it, but then it was like, duh. I mean, like, obviously the stuff needs to be done, but I just never thought about it. So it's all those little things. Like, there's a lot of correspondence. So you look at all of the races, and a lot of people have a lot of questions when people are signing up all like various questions. So I was like,
Yeah.
holy cow. I was like, that's true. It's like, I didn't even like, it wasn't
Yeah.
something that I thought about. I was like, okay, then there's going to be a lot of emailing people.
Yes.
And, so that was a lot more than I thought. And then just the, um, like getting ready for the races.
Yeah.
So it's the, the aid station food shopping and
Mhm.
packing all of the bins. And, we do have like equipment lists, and we have our aid station director who's in
Mhm.
Arizona. Like, she puts together the whole list of like, this is what we need
This
for
is what
each.
you're gonna
So
have.
it's
This is how
great.
many you need. Blah blah
So
blah blah.
yeah, so at least that is provided, which is amazing
Yeah.
and huge help. But then it's going to the grocery store and doing all that shopping and then
Mhm.
getting it all packed.
Mhm.
And again, we have an event crew that helps with all of that. But that's a lot. Like, that was a lot more time consuming than I had thought
Yes.
of, because it wasn't something that that wasn't anything I had ever been a part of with the volunteering or the
Yeah.
crewing. It was other stuff like at the event. So I was like, wow, I was like, that's true. Someone has to do this.
I had like literally the experience that you're describing is the exact experience that I had when I started doing the social media and like tech stuff for the Cape Cod Marathon, where like I was like, wait, someone brings the water to the water stops?
Yeah.
Like we have to what? And someone has to
Yeah.
coordinate the tables? And we have to get trucks to do that? Like
It doesn't just appear
it's just
magically.
us like there. This is comes back to like the fact that like runners we're so in our own heads and we're like so focused on our own race. And we show up to the starting line and we're just like, okay, the things that need to happen around.
Yeah.
If you're at a good race, that's how you should feel. You should feel like the things that happen, that the race has promised are going to happen,
Exactly.
are just happening without you having to think about them. So you can use your executive functioning skills to race,
Exactly.
especially on like a mountain race, very important. But
Exactly.
I had the same visceral reaction where I was like, wait, hold on. Why are there so many things we need to coordinate? Doesn't everything just show up there?
Exactly. So, but the first year went very well. I did plan, and I'm glad that I did plan what I did, because I do have a full-time career.
Mm-hmm.
So the race directing is an additional career. So I take my vacation days from my
around the races,
full-time career. So for the races, so I take enough days before the race, so to allow enough time. Okay, so this day I can go do the shopping, and this day I can pack the truck, and so so it works out well. It all worked out. And again, we have crew that helps. I have one crew member in particular who's amazing with getting all of the aid station bins all packed up, and helps a lot at the storage unit. And so,
yeah, I think that's fantastic. Now, what is the most rewarding part for you or maybe like the most rewarding moment, or a moment that just like sticks out as a positive memory throughout your race directing this year? Just something that like warms your heart from the inside out.
It is absolutely at the finish line when the runners are crossing the finish line. It is it is the best feeling in the world. Like, that is the moment that every single person who stepped up to that start line
wanted.
They all have various goals, regardless of what they were there for, where they finished. They finished, and to see their faces and how proud they are and how happy they are and what they just accomplished is just the best. And just knowing so much of the community, knowing so many of the people. I mean, so many of these runners, it's like, we've known each other for years. They do a lot of our races. And so to watch them as they achieve their goals every year or every race, some of them come to several of our races, if not all of our races. So to be there when they cross that finish line, that's the best. That's the most rewarding part of the entire race. Yeah.
I'm gonna give you a hard agree, because I announced the finish line for races, our local races, especially my favorite one locally that we do is the marathon distance, and I end up crying at least 5 times every single time.
My eyes are filled with tears so much. Yeah. And especially, I think, though, I mean, they are all important, and the runners have amazing goals, but the one that hits the most is the Jigger Johnson. That's the one that, because when the when the runners are crossing the finish line, just everything you can see everything that they went through, everything that they came through, and when they cross that finish line, to see that is just the best.
Yeah. For anyone who's watching and hasn't watched any of Ben's episodes about Jigger Johnson, I will say, based off of my personal opinion, having not run it, it seems to me to be the hardest ultra marathon on the East Coast. And we're just going to say, no one has to like prove this. I'm just going to say it. So it's very challenging. And it is within, I think there are five mountains peaks are there 5 or 6?
Well, there's actually, so there's Tecumseh, there's Osceola, Osceola, East Osceola, and then you have Tremont, and you have, well, you do go over Table Mountain. You don't go out the spur to the summit, but you do go up Table Mountain, and then Attitash, and then the 2 modes. So
I must be thinking
8 technically.
8, yeah, just a casual 8 mountain.
Yeah,
doing it, the 100-miler. It's what I know. It's a little bit different on the way back. So it's,
so that, and I did it. So that's the direction that the 100-milers go, and then when they come back, they don't go over the 2 Osceolas and Tecumseh again. They cut over Greatly Pond Trail and come back instead of going back over those peaks.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about Jigger Johnson.
Yeah, and then the 50-miler starts at the other end. They go over the moats first.
Yeah. Now, do you have a favorite race? I mean, you could say Jigger Johnson. Do you have a favorite race like within the White Mountain Endurance? And this can either just be like you had a good experience running it, or like maybe you just feel like it's the most rewarding for you to direct. You don't have to pick your favorite children, but you can.
I know it's so hard to pick the favorite because, like, for me personally, running, what will always be special to me is that I ran in the inaugural Jigger Johnson 50-mile the very first year.
Okay.
There were 8 of us. There were 8.
Wow. That's very small. That's even, I was thinking that like 14 people for the 50-miler I just attempted was small, but 8 is quite small.
Yeah. There were 3 women and 5 men did the 100.
Oh, this was including the men.
50,
okay. I thought you meant 8 ladies showed up.
No, 8 total.
Line.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was just the most amazing experience, and I will always, always, always be so special to me.
Yeah.
But then also the Kilkenny Ridge race holds a very special place in my heart because that was my really first big mountain race that I did. Yes, I did the Gunstock 10K, but then I did the Kilkenny 25-miler, and that was just huge. And it's just I don't know, the venue, that ridge, the ridge is special. It's something that it's like, that's on the bucket list for a lot of people to go hike that ridge. And you have, if you come and do the race, then you have support. You don't have to be spotting your car, and
which is nice. Definitely.
Which is nice. And the venue itself, and it's the last race of the season. And so it's just this really special time. And all of the runners who are there's a lot of regulars who come back every year. And it just has this amazing vibe to it. The finish line vibe at the pond. And
I love that.
Yeah. So those are the 2 special ones. And the 2, that I spent the most time on those trails, especially Jigger Johnson. I mean, that. Yeah.
I think time-wise, probably I could
do Jigger Johnson in my sleep at this point, because I trained so much on those trails for so many years that.
That's wild.
So I'd say those 2. Yeah.
That is absolutely wild. 2 more questions for you, but I read that you are part of a book club. I too am part of a book club. What book are you guys reading right now?
Well, right now we're taking a break because, but we're going to pick it up again in the winter. So, we realized we were doing all running books.
Oh, really? That's funny.
So, and I think some of the people kind of got bored, and this stemmed from our run club.
Okay.
A group
so
of us
connected.
some of us decided to do a book club, and then we started reading books.
Mm.
And then we would pick a book, but every book was, something
Running
about running. And
related.
some of the, and then we're like, and then the summer just got really hard for us to find a time when everyone can meet. So we decided to take a break. So this winter we'll pick it up again. So.
Okay. That's pretty funny that you guys just like landed on all the running books, like kind of, it sounds like not fully on purpose, but like kind of on accident,
Yeah.
So I will say our book club here in Falmouth also is like largely based off of my friends, Nicole and Katie, were running together, and they decided that because the population down the Cape is like kind of elderly,
Yeah,
so most of like the kind of like open public activities that happen like at the library and stuff, whatever, it's people over the age of 80. So we decided we needed like a younger people's book club, but I'd say at least 50% of the people are runners who are part of it. We haven't actually read, surprisingly, we have not read any running related books yet.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. So,
I think we've all kind of read those books by ourselves for the most part. And like, we're like, no, we want to read like fantasy or like romance or whatever we're reading.
Exactly. Well, and that's funny that you say that, because the last couple of books, I kept putting it down and picking up my other book, like one of my novels, like you say, like the fantasy and the romance and all of that. Mm-hmm. I'm like, this is what I need at the end of my day. I'm like, I've had a stressful day. I need to read, this. Yes. I don't want to read this.
You want to be off on a separate planet or like whatever world that is.
So a couple of them, So a couple of the books, I didn't even end up finishing the books, which was fine, because it's still fun just to get together. Everyone discusses it, and we have food, and so.
Yeah. We have a lot of fun too. We have a brewery that we go to in town. Nice. That's really nice. But I'm excited. It's very interesting to see. I feel like it's very common for female runners to be into also be like big book nerds.
Yeah.
Weirdly, I don't know what the exact correlation is. Yeah. Maybe we just like to think alone and listen to other people's thoughts and feelings. Maybe, I don't know. Could be that, but that was just something.
Mixed. It's the men and women too.
Oh, okay. Combined. So you have we've invited the gentlemen, but the gentlemen have not wanted to come. Granted, I will say, because our group, there's I think there's 20, 25 people who are like part of our pool that vote on our book in our time that we're voting on. I think because everyone who's voting is a lady, the books have kind of skewed towards ladies' preferences.
Right. Yeah.
So some of the gentlemen that we've invited, they've been like, I don't really like, Ben has been invited, and Ben has just been like, I don't like that book, Juliana. I'm like, okay, fine. You don't have to come. You also don't like being social. You're the person who likes to stand out in the mountains for 3 full days by yourself. And that's a nice time for you. So, which is to each their own, it's more than able to adapt. But so other questions I had for you, I guess one of my biggest questions is, you got into this pretty gradually. And one of my big things with me kind of joining the trail community and just in general, is I like to invite people to do things with me. And I want to have, if I'm doing something please join me, it's kind of an open invitation. And there are just so few female ultra trail runners out there, in a way where I'm just oh, that's kind of sad. I wish there were more of us, Mm-hmm. And in an effort to get more trail runners out there, ultra trail runners out there, ultra female identifying trail runners out there, I guess I want to know, what would you tell someone who's looking to get into ultra marathon running? Not beyond just do it. I'm not taking that as an answer, because of course that's everyone's answer of just do it. It's okay, yes, we know, we understand, but maybe something that you found useful. It can be a piece of gear. It could just be maybe an experience that you had, something where you're this is just something, if I was starting trail running, either someone did tell me, or I wish that they had told me, that I learned that was a valuable piece of information.
So I think, I think it's important to get around people who are doing the thing that you're interested in, so whether that be in my case, it was, I was coming up here to hike the 48s, but then I connected with trail runners. And then, so being with them on the mountains, I was they were, just watching what they did helped me to figure out what I need. It's oh, I need a pack like that. I need shoes like that. I need, this is what I need to do. This is the kind of, nutrition and hydration. So it's just being around other people who are doing those things and learning from them.
Yeah.
And I think a great way to do that is, there are so many different run clubs in various areas, is to search out, is there a run club that does, trail running or mountain running that you can get involved in? A lot of the clubs, like our club is there, there's all various, um, levels of speed, or even like for our run club, different people are, some people are totally healthy and they like are all on this pack and they're running up. There are other people who are injured and can't do that. So they go at their own pace, or they're recovering from an injury. In my case, I was out of commission for quite,
didn't you, right?
Yeah. So I was out of commission for quite some. I would still go to the run club, but I certainly couldn't run with the front of the pack because I was limping along, but I would still go and do my little thing. And then when everyone finished, we would do our post run trailhead hang, and, and it was still fun. And now I'm recovering from surgery. So I can hike. I still have another 5 weeks before I can start running again, because it's 3 months post op is when I can start running. There are a lot of people in our run club all of a sudden who had babies. Like we have all these new babies in our run club. So the parents will come, and then like one of them will run, one of them will carry the baby in the pack. So there's like all different, we're still meet at this trailhead. Everyone takes off and does their thing in groups or whatever. And then we all meet after. So there's a lot of run clubs like that. So you can go to different run clubs. There's probably different paces, or find out about the club beforehand and go. And that's when you're going to learn. First of all, you're going to discover different trails and mountains that are out there. You'll be with other people, and that's how you start to learn. And then you learn about the different gear. You learn about how, especially in the different weather and the different trail conditions. What you need, different headlamps. It's like there's just so much that you can learn just from chatting with other people and being on trail with other people. I think that's the best way to do it, is to just be out there with other people.
Yeah, I've also found, like, along that exact same lines, that it's nice to have people who either have the same level of goals as you or bigger goals, who just like I know I keep bringing up Ed, but like I was like, I want to run a 50 miler. He was like, okay, because he runs 100 milers and like 50 milers all the time, and so he's just like, yeah, sure, why not? Whereas like I go to like my other family members who don't run at all, and they're like, Julianne, you're gonna die. Granted, I did take a couple of nasty falls, but it's fine. I'm okay. I'm alive. But like, it's part of the gig, but they're just like, they can't fathom it. And they kind of like, even if they're not trying to, sometimes they poo-poo you a little bit from like taking on those bigger goals, as opposed to just going up to someone who said like, if I go to someone who runs like the Cocodona 250 all the time, and I'm like, I would like to run a 50 miler, in their head, they're like, oh yeah, she could definitely do that. That's just like a jaunty jog,
Exactly.
Like a small loop. It's like, a small loop. But having people around you who can like give you advice, like real, like usable advice on gear, training, all those things, and just be like, yeah, no, you got it.
Absolutely. That's exactly what it's about. Because when you're putting yourself out there with other people who are interested in the same things, then that's going to help you. And people who, like you say, they're not going to be like, oh, you can't do that. That's too far. It's like, you want to be with people who are like, you want to be with people who are like, yeah, absolutely. Go get it, And, but there's so much to learn, that when you spend time with people out on the trails, even if it's at a run club, or some other group that's out there on the trails, just being out there with people, you learn so much.
Yeah, I think so. It's that shared delusion that we all have. We're like, I could get 50 miles, or like I can get 150 miles or whatever. Just having that shared delusion gets you so much further.
Exactly.
I love it. Well, Marylyn, I think we could probably wrap up most of the episode. Did you have anything else you wanted to leave people with, or maybe just encouraging people to come run the White Mountain Ultras potentially? We'll do our little shoe up thing after this.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, check out the White Mountain Endurance races. I think one thing that's really great is that a lot of races out there, not just the White Mountain Endurance
Yeah.
races, but there are a lot of ultra races out there. If you check them out, um, it's for everyone. It's for every level. It does not, you
Mhm.
don't have to be an elite runner. You don't have to be someone who goes out and does, 50-mile runs every weekend.
Yeah.
It's for every level of athlete. It's for the person who is just starting out.
Mhm.
Um, Speaking to our races specifically, the White Mountain Endurance races, we have different distances, or whether it's a timed event like the White Lake Ultras, or it's the
Yeah.
other events where we have different distances. So
Mhm.
you can sign up for a shorter distance and just kind of get a taste of it and see what it's like. And it's a great community. It's very inclusive.
Mhm.
You have support, you have aid stations. So it's just a really great way to kind of get your feet wet, kind of just kind of try it out and see if it's something that you like, and
And, and
guarantee you get addicted to it. The
yeah,
one race and that's it.
yeah,
You want
I love
more.
that. I love that. I think that's fantastic. Hopefully, people will see this and they'll be intrigued too. I'll put the information about White Mountain Endurance down below
Okay.
in the description for anyone who is listening or watching this. But to round out our episode, Marilyn, we're going to do what shoe do you choose to use,
Mm.
where you can tell me either a shoe that lives and or rent free in your brain, or you can definitely tell me a shoe that you're currently running in. What shoe do you choose to use?
So the number one shoe that I can wear for almost everything is the Topo Mountain Racer.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I was wearing the Topo Mountain Racer 3. I have been through many, many pairs of them.
Yeah.
And now they came out with the Topo Mountain Racer 4. And I just bought a new pair because now that I'm, recovering from surgery and I'm
Yeah.
starting to get out there again, I have to say I was very disappointed. I could not believe they
Ah,
changed it. It doesn't feel exactly right, but I'm going to give it. So I'm going to keep wearing it, see what happens. But
okay.
the Topo Mountain Racer is what I've been wearing for almost every terrain.
Wow.
A
Okay.
couple of years ago, I had been separating it. I had been wearing ultras for
Mhm.
pretty much like the northern prezzies, that type of terrain, when it's really like the big boulders where you're mostly like on boulders like the entire time, and it's not
Yeah.
a lot of dirt trails or anything. I was wearing the ultras, which I really like, the Ultra Olympus specifically.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It
Big old chunky boy.
it was so great. I loved that shoe so much. And again, it was pretty much in the prezzies is where I was wearing that the most.
Okay.
Um, but it was not durable. It was
That's a bummer.
the uppers were like ripping out within like a couple of months, and I still could have got a lot more mileage, but they were ripping, and so the quality I think just wasn't there. Maybe it's because of the sharp rocks in the northern prezzies. I'm not sure, but after buying a few pair, I was like, I don't know, I can't really like kind of pricey to be going through shoes that
Yeah.
quickly. So the topos for me handle totally fine
Okay.
in that environment on those trails as well. So that's my shoe.
We love a
Um,
wine toe box.
yeah. So the wide toe box is what I need for my foot. So um but I do have a La Sportiva shoe that I wear in the winter. It's the GTX.
Is it this Prodigio? They have the whole Prodigio line.
Yeah, it's not that one. Now I'm forgetting what the name of it is, but it's really cool. It like comes up like a booty and it like zips up.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. So, and that's what I wear in the winter time. So,
Okay. That's
and
a
that's
lot
a
of
good shoe.
fun. Yeah, I have a wide foot too, so I don't I have one pair of topos. I think it must not be the Mountain Racer because it's a 5. It's like the MTN.
Oh, yes. The
It's
empty.
Yeah, and I was just looking at pictures really quick of what the Mountain Racer looks like, and mine is like a little bit lower stack with not as good Vibram coverage on the bottom. So
Yes.
that one's the one I have is more of like a road trail shoe. I don't run trails that like real trails in it,
Yeah.
but I have run in
I,
ultras as well, but not for longer distances.
yeah, exactly. So I need, the other thing I like about the Mountain Racer is it just has like more cushion.
Yeah, it's got
So
a good stack on it.
yeah. So I have a few of the other, I've tried a few of the other topo models, and they just weren't comfortable for me. So they're sitting looking brand new in my closet. I'm like, I'll just wear those for like, I don't know, running errands or something that I never do.
For race directing, maybe.
There you go.
For that, you probably need at least a little bit of a lug if you're going to be out there, like at least a little bit on the trails. Doesn't hurt. Vibram is never going to hurt anyone for the most part.
No.
That's fun. Yeah. The topos are a great shoe, and ultras also, if they work for your feet, that's fantastic. But whatever works for your feet, that's kind of what I advocate for. It's always interesting to see what people's different preferences are based on terrain and everything. But Marylyn, this was so nice to chat with you.
Oh, so nice chatting with you too. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. I'm so happy to have you. If people want to find out more information about you and the White Mountain Ultras, where can they find that information?
So all of our races are on the White Mountain Endurance website. You can also get to that through Aravaipa Running.
Yes.
Through Aravaipa Running, or you could just type in White Mountain Endurance, and our website will come up with all of our different races in our portfolio. And I just use my name for everything. So I don't have any cool creative usernames. So on Instagram and Facebook, I'm just Marylyn Styles.
Hey, you got to it first, so that's what counts. You get to the full name. Anyone who tries now I can guarantee you're probably, unless you have a really unique name, you're probably not getting to pick from that. So that's great.
Exactly. And Strava, which Strava's not too terribly exciting right now since I'm in my recovery mode. It's all, walking and
that still counts. You're keeping those muscles working, so that way when you transition back to more running, you'll be ready.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that's fantastic. Absolutely wonderful. And I'll put all the links down below, friends. So if you want to check out any of those things, those will be there. And if you want to get in contact with me over here at the show, that's runnahpod@gmail.com or runnahpod on Instagram. But that's going to bring us to the end of the episode, Marylyn. So we can
thank you.
Bye to everyone.
Bye, everyone.
It was great to have you on.
Thank you so much. It was great to be here.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Runnah. This podcast is edited, hosted, and produced by me, Juliana Coughlin. Brought to you in part by the Falmouth Running Club and the Falmouth Community TV station. If you'd like to connect with us, you can find us on Instagram and on TikTok at runnahpod. And you can send us an email at runnahpod@gmail.com. And our original theme music was brought to you by the one and the only wonderful Jeffrey Hutton. And keep up the great work. I'm proud of you.